the risk of employing domestic workers without uh, profiling.
mm,
The risk of employing domestic worker without profiling. It is still what we're saying. What we're saying is that people have degraded to the extent that they employ a gate man.
mm,
They don't even know where he's from.
mm,
I'm telling you because I'm in the system. They employ a cleaner. They don't even know where the person is coming from.
mm,
Something happened and the gate man left, and at the end of the day, they came to our office and all of that. Somebody called me, and at the end of the day, I was asking, I said, where is he from? They say, I thought he's from. He actually could mention the particular place. I said, are you thinking? Okay, fine, no problem. Where is his picture so we can actually lay hand on that
mm,
information? He hasn't any picture. So
mm.
not even a not form of even profiling, even his identity card. In fact, they don't even know the real name of the person because if I'm coming to you and I have criminal tendency, there's possibility that I won't even give you my real name. So you
Mm,
could just be calling me anything, but
mm,
that's not my real name. So if you don't have a proper documentation of who I am coming to work for you, that's the issue. But today we are going to be looking at
mm,
the risk of employing domestic workers without profiling. There's always one thing I used to say in my program, and I said, being poor does not make you a criminal. Being rich does not also make you a victim. But hanging around in high crime area or weak security decision are more likely to make you one of them or even both. So you need to take proper security distinction. In this program today, we are going to be exploring the link between domestic worker and criminality. And I want to ask, who is your domestic worker? As you're listening to me there now, who is your domestic worker? Because maybe within the half of this program, you're going to call in to tell us how well you know your domestic worker. Who is your domestic worker? Who is that person that is working in your house as your maid? Who is your security man? Who is that person who is your driver? I mean, these are things that you need to begin to answer yourself. How well do you know your driver? Do you know his place? Do you know if you have his details? Did you take him to the law enforcement for proper profiling? And I said here, who is a domestic worker? In case you don't understand it, the domestic worker is someone employed to perform household tasks such as cleaning, cook, childcare and other domestic activity. That includes driver, includes uh, caregivers, includes nanny, includes uh, laundry person. These are just domestic workers. In my introduction, I have said domestic workers play a crucial role in many households, providing essential services that contributes to the smooth functioning of our daily life. However, the lack of proper profiling and screening of domestic workers can pose significant risk, including potential for criminal behavior within household. Now, we have issues and research have had it that without proper profiling of a domestic worker, we can have different security challenges because when you do not know your domestic worker, when you do not know where your driver is coming from, there is every tendency that he can actually leverage on that lack of information you do not have about him and probably hurt you and commit some criminal activity. When a driver knows that you do not know him, you do not know anything about him, and you're giving him a car worth millions, what do you think he will do? If he has some challenges and has some criminal tendency, he will definitely be thinking of a way forward. And as such, your your property could be a point of solution to whatever challenges he's passing through. So we have here a risk of having a domestic worker. There is a very high risk of having a domestic worker that is not properly profiled. like I have asked in this program, who is your uh, domestic worker? The person that is taking care of your children when you're not there, or probably even when you're there, the one that is just washing your dishes and all of that, that man that is just at your gate, and the one that has just parked your car, probably your driver, the one you have in your offices, how well do you know them? These are things that you need to know and need to begin to think. In case you do not know them properly, immediately after this program, please get a note, get a pen, go and begin to profile them yourself before you can take them to law enforcement agent. Something happened in a client site one of these days, and the person came from one side of the state, and when he came and the man said, you are coming to work as a driver, he said yes. I hope you do not have any criminal tendency. The guy said yes. Of course, everybody is going to say no to that. So as such, when I was invited, I told him that evening, I said, we are going to be I'll be taking you to a law enforcement agent. I mentioned the particular division tomorrow morning by 9 a.m. So you have to prepare yourself. So when I come by 9 a.m., we're going to go. But then let me tell you the risk of going to that place. That I just told him, I said, when we go there, they are going to bring out some cultists that are in the cell to just parade them to see if they will identify you as part of them, because they also have in the cell cultists that is from where you are coming from. So I just want to tell you, if you are one that is a cultist, or you think your documents are not properly I mean your life is not straight, please let us know so that we know how to help you. He said, no problem, sir, that everything is okay. By 8 o'clock in the morning, where we're supposed to go by 7, by 9 a.m., the man called me and said, my boy has run away. And I laughed, because it is something that happens in a daily basis. That is why you need to be very careful to know who you are employing as your domestic worker. I can tell you that a domestic worker is that person that have too much access to you. In fact, most times our drivers even have access to our room sometimes, because there are some things you could probably buy, and maybe trying to put it in your house, he had to help you, or probably help whomever that is there to move those things inside the house. So even your driver have too much access to your house. Your gate man most times have access to your house, and those other ones that works in the house, cleaners and all, they have full access to your house. And where you don't have them, you don't know them, there's a risk. The risk of having domestic worker, number one, is the security risk. Domestic worker have access to personal space and valuable belonging to the owner of the house. They have access to valuables and personal space. Valuables are belonging to the house owner. Number two is child safety concern. Without proper vetting, domestic worker may pose risk to your children's safety, including neglect or abuse. This is no longer a story, it is no longer a news. What domestic workers are doing in our houses. In fact, I was discussing with somebody, that a client also, and I told them, I said, we have another surveillance system, which is the social media. So just if you just go to social media, Google the dangers of having domestic workers. Just Google domestic workers and just Google them in your YouTube. What you will watch, after watching it, you probably will even have to send the one you have in the house. So your child is your precious gift that God has given to you, and I tell you, they need not to be abused. If you have a surveillance system in the house and see what mates are doing to your children, I can tell you that you would not even want to stay with any of them. Yes, that is why you need to actually, we have good ones anyway, we are not disputing that fact, but what we are talking about today is the risk of having them not being profiled. It's not that you cannot have them, but when they are properly profiled, then you're safe. But when they are not properly profiled, then it means that you're not safe. So your child safety and concern is very important. Financial vulnerability is there. Your domestic workers know when there is financial strength of the family, and they know when the family does not have that is not buoyant enough. I tell you, in course of my business, we've had one or two things that we install in vehicles that can actually record informations and all that. Something happened one of these days to tell you the risk and how far domestic workers could be. An MD of a company that people have done job to, they did job to him, and he hasn't been paid. They've not paid the vendors and all that. So he just got a little payment from his own client, and he decided to just probably settle one or two vendors, but not all of them. So he raised the check and asked it domestic worker drivers and all that to go to bank and post that check so he can actually pay 5 persons out of 15 or there about 20. And the domestic workers did not know exactly what was installed in the car, so immediately they drove off to the bank. The man initiated the communication between the car and what they are discussing in the car. I tell you that the information we got was one that even the man never believed, because the domestic worker, the drivers and other people in the car were calling other vendors that are their friends and their well wishers to tell them that, see, oga has gotten money o, as I talk to you now, we are going to the bank to deposit money. As such, please just come to office any moment from now. This is going to, there is money. So this is very dangerous. That is why we're talking of financial vulnerability, the number 3. So your domestic workers have access to informations to know exactly when there is fund. It is your driver that drives you when you're making a call in your car. Your client will be calling you, your business partners will be calling you. As stupid as you think they are very sensitive and they are very smart. So you do not just take because they are driving you, they are not talking, you think that they are stupid people. No, they are not. So as such, you need to know exactly who you're bringing in as a domestic worker. Number 4 is health and hygiene risk. It depends on the standard of health and hygiene risk you have in your house. Poor hygiene practice by domestic worker can lead to health risks such as food contaminations and all that. Domestic workers, most times, mainly the females, sometimes they are under pressure. I'm telling you what we have seen, because we do so many of these surveillances and all that. So issues happen and we'll begin to trace how it happened, and as such, you see, mainly the female, most times they are into their circles and all that. So at that point, you could just see a domestic worker trying to do one or two things in the kitchen, and just notice that she's wet, and she just needs to go and probably change herself when she's in her circle, and maybe she goes to change herself. Madam is calling again, what are you doing, where have you gone to? And within that period of trying to change herself and come back again without the proper taking care of it based on what madam and oga is trying to do, shout and all that, she comes back again and continue with what he's doing. So there's a very high level of health risk hygiene, so you need to be very careful. That is why you need to know who you're doing and how you're dealing with them. Some of them also comes with some health issues that they can transfer, that is communicable to your children and all of that, to the family. I've personally experienced one certain time. I just came back, I discovered my children were just scratching everywhere. I said, what is happening? They said they're just scratching. So the mother took them to hospital. They say it's scabies, and as such, I know how that thing, the time it took, because it was like we almost brought everything outside. We did everything that I think was recommended. The thing was still there, but thank God that over time, I don't know how it went, because I got tired of trying to cure that particular thing. But then it was transferred by one of the mates. Thank God for today, I'm free from that. So we have also legal issue. Employers may face legal liability for incidents of injuries that occur or their in their property. Sorry, employers can also face legal issue when you have domestic worker and you don't know where they are from, you don't profile them properly. God forbid something happened and probably they die or there's an incident, you don't even know who you're going to communicate to. As such, I have also had an issue in a client place where a domestic worker suddenly developed a growth in his private part, and as such, the client was so nice to the extent that he took him to the hospital and he was admitted and was booked for operation. The client was ready to do all of that, but then who will stay with him in the hospital? So, and the client does not also or did not also know where he's as in his people. So he was looking for who will stay with the young guy in the hospital without knowing who will stay. So he cannot stay with the guy in the hospital. And that was how he called somebody that brought the guy to him and said, your brother is sick. This is where we are. They booked him for operation. Please come tomorrow so you can stay with him in the hospital so that they can carry out the operation. I'll take care of all the financial issues. The one that brought him said, no problem, sir. I'll come tomorrow. Mr. Maxwell, you know that as I'm talking to you. That man has not reached that hospital. But then the man did not know what to do. He gave the guy money, as in the domestic worker money. He said, please, go back to your place. Let your people come to the hospital so they can do the operation. And that till today, I've not heard anything about that guy again. If he's alive or dead, I don't know. So this is exactly what we're saying. God forbid that anything has happened to that particular guy, it would have been an issue, because where do you carry him to? Even the man we think that brought him to the client also has not reached up till now. So if anything has happened, probably he will carry the dead body to wherever he wants to go to. So it is very, 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 very risky to have these people without properly knowing where they are from. Like, as you're listening to me, you just need to begin to ask yourself these questions, and also you can also call in to tell us experiences you've had with your domestic worker. We've seen people carrying people's car and they just live like that. So many has happened that we are involved and we just have to track the vehicles because they didn't know that the vehicle have tracker in that. So that was how we were able to recover the vehicle. Until today, they don't even know where the driver are. So these are things that you need to be very careful about to know. To know. So we want to know, what are those experiences you've had with your domestic workers? How well do you know your domestic workers? The ones that are working with you currently now, how well do you know them? The ones that you have employed in your office. In fact, it has gotten to the extent that we were trying to do an auditing for one company, a security auditing, and we discovered that they brought all the guarantor form that the staff had all filled, and we brought the guarantor form, we took it to our office and started scrutinizing the guarantor's form one after the other. And I picked up my phone. First, I checked the requirement of being a guarantor. Number one, you say you must be a legal practitioner, you must be a clergyman, you must be a civil servant of level 15 or thereabout. So these were the requirements. But then, when I started scrutinizing the guarantors from I saw a businessman. I said, what's it? I saw an electrician. I saw all those kind of things. And I called the HR. I said, what exactly are you doing? From this beginning, I'm just seeing something that, did you really call these people that you have here as guarantor? And her job was, to an extent, she was afraid, to scared, and that I said, okay, no problem, let me carry it to my office. So we carried it to the office, and I just brought those things and I called. 90% of the phone number I called were switched off, not available, not reachable. It was very few that picked. And even when I was asking, I said, do you know so person because you shorted this person? He said, yes, he knows the person. I said, do you read this thing before you shorted this person? Because there is a liability of over 100 million if this person happens to do anything in the company. He said, no, that is this person. Mr. Maxwell, you see, I don't know how. Most times I just think about security. sometimes I just feel like, are we living in a zoo?
Mm.
Because you cannot just get somebody applied or whatever means you get the person and you just open your door. You just get somebody, you give your car key, and this person will be driving you, you'll be making your calls. You just get somebody and you put at your gate. You go to sleep in the night and somebody is at your gate. For God's sake, in fact, in the issue of security that we do in a daily basis, people, you don't even, if you're building a house, people just keep coming to your house that you're building. I'm an electrician, a plumber, a I'm this and that. No problem about that. You could patronize anybody, but then before granting them access to coming to work for you, have you asked, which company are you coming from? And they tell you, I'm coming from A and B Limited or A and B Enterprises. Please give them to me. We have information decks that you can actually do an email to Corporate Affairs Commission. It's very simple. You can even call them on phone and ask, please, who is A and A Limited? The company is working for me. Confirm if they are active. Because most of the companies that work for people are inactive in corporate affairs. The time you know that those companies are inactive is when you have issues and you run to corporate affairs to say, okay, I know the company name. The company name is A and B, and they just go there and they say this company is inactive because they are not doing the annual return, so they are not filing as such. They have been deleted from the corporate affairs. So because some persons, when they see some structure, the way the structure looks to them, it looks like the owner have money. So as such, they look for how to come in earlier so they can begin to have access to those properties. As such, they come as electrician, they come as anything. There's no problem about that. But how do you just see somebody that said, I'm an electrician, it's okay, where have you worked before? It's I've worked in A and B, it's okay, can you go and work? And this person moves into your apartment and start working for you, you don't know him. So it's most times I think, I say, how did we get here? How can we allow ourselves to do this? I walked into a friend's house and the electrician was just fixing fan or thereabout, and I just, my normal me, I say, come on, how are you? He said, fine. I said, where are you from? He told me. I said, where do you live? He told me. I got all those information and I came back to the sitting room. My friend was there. I said, oh boy, I said, where is the electrician from? He said, that guy, I've known him for just about 2 months. So the other electrician, I said, where is he from? That's what I just asked you. He said, oh, I just know him because when he came, he said, I mean, where is he from? What is his name? The guy told me another name, which is his village name. My friend told me an English name. So I was confused. And this guy was working in your room, the fan in your room. So we need to be very careful. See, we're human beings. We are not, we're human beings. Let's behave like one. It does not remove anything from us to know where are you from, who is recommending him. Give us the guarantor. See, people do these documentations and they submit it, they don't even call the guarantors. They don't even follow the guarantors. They just pack it. Has he submitted the guarantors from? Yes. What are the guarantors? Have you spoken to them? Have you called them from the office to tell them the importance of having this and the danger that there is? What, just tell, if anybody fills a guarantor's form and brings to you, just call the person. If he picks and acknowledge that he knows the person, just tell him that. If you want to know if he's a good guarantor, just tell him that you have about 200 million naira tied to this guarantor. If anything happened to this guy in the office, that anything he got missing as well, you are liable of 200 million. You will know the real guarantors. The guy will tell you, no, he never reached like that. Can I decline? And he has space to decline. So this is what we're saying at every point. So we want to give you space, if you can call us, to tell us
what's your relationship
with your domestic staff. Your driver, what have been the experiences that you have with them, good ones and all that. So as such, moreover, the informal nature of domestic worker and the lack of regularity oversight in most cases further uh, pose more risk to us. So we're going to be looking at exploring the link between domestic worker and criminality. Research indicates that instances of criminal behavior involving domestic workers are not uncommon. That's why I said you don't even need too much information. Just go to YouTube, Google domestic worker and what they can do. I tell you, you'll be surprised. We are, like I said, we're human beings. We are human beings. Our children are our best gift. Our family is so before you bring in anybody, you need to properly profile. You see, my people will always say most times, you see, when something wants to kill somebody, he will make the person that will save him his enemy. You see, the law enforcement agents are our friends. I keep saying this. But because something wants to kill us, we are not seeing them as enemies. As such, what you can just take to a law enforcement agent, the division around you or close to you, that's why these divisions are close to you. Because you can actually reach them and say, okay, this is my domestic worker. I brought him yesterday. He said he's from so and so. Please, can you interview him yourself so you can know more about him? I tell you, out of 10 that will come, and if you tell them you're taking them to these places, you can only succeed in having 2, because 8 will disappoint you. This is what we do in a daily basis. So as soon as they come, we tell them this is where we're going to take you, and you see those that have criminal tendency will run. So we need to be careful who works for us, the technicians that work for us, the technicians that work our cars. These things we need to know very well. We shouldn't be giving people access to our privacy just like that. Factors, we have about 5 factors that affect this. Number one is inadequate background check. When you do not do a proper background check, you can actually fall a victim to what we're discussing. Insufficient training. Most times you have domestic workers that you just employ as a gate man. It doesn't make him a professional gate man, a professional security man. In fact, he has not even done that job before, but due to the challenges surrounding the nations and all of that, people take jobs anyhow. So he could just decide to say, okay, let me just go and do gate man. He has no experience of anything about gate man. So you that needs a gate man, you should at the same time know what exactly you need in that gate man and how you want that gate man to work. So informations are everywhere. You can actually get information, and when you have this gate man, you train him on what to do. You train him. I went with a friend to his house, and ordinarily the gate man did not know me because my friend was driving in front, I was behind him. So fine, we were going to his house. So the gate man, the gate man opened, he drove in, and I joined him. The gate man still opened for me. I also drove him. You understand? My friend actually came down, and I came down. He didn't even notice. That's why I say we are still human beings. We have not turned to animals. So at least we should be human being enough to know exactly what was. So he didn't notice. He just said, well, welcome. We strolled into the house, and I said, wow, this is serious. Has your gate man met me before? He said, no. What's the problem? I said, but you drove in and another car joined you. Your gate man did not do anything. He didn't even raise any alarm. There was nothing. He was just holding the door for me. Even if there's another car coming, another one will, and most all of, I mean, I was shocked myself, because these are things you need to train your domestic worker. They are not professionals. In fact, some of them have not done that job before. So you need to bring them, sit them down, and tell them exactly what you need. You see, once I'm coming back, in fact, in security we don't even encourage people to blow horn when you're coming. You should have your, at least we have mobile phones. Just call your security man or gate man. I don't call them security man, I call them gate man. Call your gate man and tell him that you're just close. So when you get to another maybe 1 or 2 meter again, just he knows when Oga is coming. Because once you call him, he knows. It's not like when you call him, when you're maybe 30 meters, you call him, you now tell him to open, you will now open the gate and be waiting for you to reach. Another car can run in. So you give this key password. Like in my house, personally, there is what we call family password. You can never know it. So if it's any of the occupants of my house is knocking the gate, I will know. All of us will know. If it's a stranger, we will know without even looking at anything, because we have this password. I sat them down and gave them these keys. If you're the one knocking as a family member, this is how you knock. If you're not a family member, of course you don't know. So this is how it is. If any of, even in the night while sleeping in their rooms, if any of the family member is going to access any room, he knows how to knock, so that you know that somebody that wants to access this room is a member. If he's a stranger, he cannot knock like the way we used to knock. So when you are sleeping and you hear a strange knock, no matter how mild that knock will look, that's not the knock of the family code. So as such, there is risk. So there's danger. You need to begin to. So these are things that we need to have trained people.
Let
and
me,
if you
let
don't,
me just call the phone line while you continue. 0810 9510 951 0817 0000951, and then for messages 0701 9339962. Yes, good evening.
Yeah, good evening, Marcel.
Go ahead, Ugo.
Thank you. Marcel, your guest here is well grounded in security matters. I love hearing from you. Good evening, Oga.
welcome.
Again, Mark, I want to tell you that even there was a time, in the neighborhood, there was a time somebody thinks with what is it called again? Gate, not gate actually, but protector. Thank you, protector in the house. Could you imagine that the people that the so-called bricklayers or nursing people came to the nothing that came to this? So, a group of criminals. So that is what they usually do, just like your guest said. So if they see where they are about laying new foundation, they will go there. If one goes there, he will try, once he fixes himself, he will see a way of bringing, wooing the heart of the owner of the house to bring in the rest members of his gang. So when they are now brought in, as they are laying the blocks, doing what they are doing there, they will begin also to plan what they will do to undo the person. So after they have fixed this whatever
Protector.
now they didn't fix this thing in time. They had to do it late in the evening. So after working on it, everybody left. A living house. Now, they came